your experience with the Holocaust, how your family was taken by the Germans. Yes.
Well, my family was taken first. We were in three parts. First part was when we were in a labor camp in Russia. They pulled up. It was the second I seen. They pulled up one morning. They pulled up trucks, half a dozen trucks, big trucks, and we were in underground barracks or whatever you want to call them, and they everybody out. You know, there was so everybody just got out the best way they could and the best way they were, and they loaded them up. They didn't count. They used to before they used to count. They used to go and put you up in rows and count. This time they didn't. They just picked you up as they went, and mostly they picked up a lot of the older people and a lot of women. And then when then they took my mom and my dad and my sister, and I believe took my wife there too. And then my family first time went to the German, and we could hear machine guns going. There was just a wooded area, and since we've seen something like this before in 41, so we knew exactly what happened to them, but we couldn't come close to it. Neither could we see where they were, how far they were, what they did to them.
Okay, thank you very much.
The three of us were left. Me, my younger brother, just what we were just talking about, and one sister. And from there it took us, when they stepping back from the war, they were losing the war, but they were taking us back, and they brought us to Minsk. And also some kind of barracks they had after the Russian, there was a Russian territory, and there we lost our sister, the older sister, the one sister. And then we just left two of us, me and my younger brother. And they again loaded us up in carloads, and they brought us to Germany. And in Germany, there were you see a lot of cars, but I don't know exactly how many people were there left. There was not too many left, maybe a couple thousand. And they put us out in lines. We stood up in lines, and there were some people left from my hometown. My father-in-law was still there, and I had a couple of cousins and friends. We all stood in one group when the fellow was gone. Some short fellow, German SS man, was just walking and going this way and going and going, and I guess he was counting, and he came to I was standing on the right hand side, and my little brother was sitting on the left hand side, and all the people were staying right behind us, and he came right and split right in the middle between me and him. He just had the hand with the little stick he had, he just right in the hand, and Owston turned right, and then they turned left. Nevertheless, I seen him. I seen him walking away. I looked, the crowd, I couldn't help.
When they came and got your family, you said you had seen this before, but did you have any idea what was going to happen?
Well, if you talk from the beginning, well, when they took us away from home, well, they concentrated all the Jewish people. For a while, the Germans was there for 4 or 5 months, maybe longer, and everybody was going out to work, and they were put on rations, and there were soup lines and things like this. But they took away our home, and they put us all in one room because we had a beautiful home, and they made the quarters out of it. And then they took out the quarters and put all kind of materials and anything. And then they concentrate most of the Jews from the area. Like from our town, there were some more people in all the small towns, or lived, individually, and they put it together in one place in 14 kilometers from our town. They just told everybody was lined up and they just walked, not knowing where we were going. And we came to the city. I was in the town, or that was not a too big a city, but it was much bigger than our city. And that I knew the city because I went to school there. And they put us all in one area. 3 families in a house, 4 families, whatever you could find a place. And we were there for that they call ghetto. And there we worked, we got out to work every day, and to give you some rations, so much bread a week, and you had to stay in the line to get it, and so much whatever they gave you. And that lasted for a while, maybe lasted for 4 or 5 months. And winter come around, and this is the town where there was the first massacre. In that town, one day they took out in the morning, they killed 7,000 people in one morning, and the Judenrat was a Jewish committee, and they give orders. They give the orders to the committee, and the committee had to fulfill it. And they asked for 100 people, young people, with shovels. They didn't see what it's for and things like this, and I was one of them, and they took us to maybe about 2 or 3 miles, something like this, on out of town. And we came over there, and there was all marked off in white. They laid it out before. Somebody laid it out, and it was probably minimum the length of a baseball field, and maybe 80, 100 feet long, and about 60 foot wide or so. And they didn't say nothing about how deep to dig. They just start digging, and there was kind of soft ground, and we were there 4 or 5 hours. I don't know exactly how many hours. We were all there, and they were staying on your back and quicker, to work faster. And we finally got the dirt, cleaned out the dirt, and they come over and checked it out. If it's all the right heights, they were just, I say, about 4 foot. And they didn't say nothing, and then when we got done, it was already getting dark, and they took us back to town. And then after we came home, the people started putting 2 and 2 together. Nobody didn't dream about it, Nobody wouldn't think about that kind of thing. But they didn't know what we were doing. When we come home, the people were waiting for us and what we did and things like this. Then after this, they finally came to the point. They know what's going to happen. The next morning, about 5 o'clock in the morning, they start knocking on the doors. Everybody, and the Judenrat, the Jewish committee, came before we came home. They said, everybody, tomorrow the Germans are going to have an inspection, and they want to see how we look and everything. To dress up the best clothes and put on all your jewelry and everything. Well, you had to do it. There was no one. So 5 o'clock in the morning, they started knocking on doors, and everybody out, and everybody to go there right there on the platform. We all came on the parking. It was a parking lot. It was actually a farmer's market place, and everybody was on their knees, sitting, waiting. There was an area. There was 3 ways. It was straight, and there was right and left. You went straight, you went to the ditches. When you went right or left, you went to life. And you can hear screaming and, gun. People they were beating him. The police took him the soldiers took him over, anybody down to go down the hill, and they pushed him. And I guess some people maybe was too weak to walk, all kind of people. And then our family was spared. They sent part of us right and part of us left, but nobody straight. They said that they killed 7,000 people. Then in this afternoon, they want to send people back. They want to dug the ditches. They want us back. And we had to go over there. We were on the way. There were clothing and shoes and all kind of stuff just on the street. I guess when they tore off their clothes or they themselves did it, nobody knows. And and we came over there. There was some screaming and people hollering help, and half alive people, honestly. I don't know how many, but half alive people. And they gave us some chlorox, some kind of white stuff. It was in bags or barrels, I can't recall, and they told us to spread it out and then to put a dirt on it. So we had to do it. And when we came back, there were families. Some lost their children, some lost their husband, some lost their dad, some lost their mother. Every family. There were maybe very few families left who were in one piece. All the rest of us, something was missing, father, children, somebody. And there was, they took us out from there and they put us in a different place, and there we already got it. We couldn't go no place from 8 till 6 hours to be out, and then of course we had to go to work. And after this, after a certain time, they finally, in the winter time, and my mother was a very ill lady. She had so bad arthritis. And they put us in carloads again. They took us to Germany. That was the first time we went to Germany. And there, when it was only left, but just no, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. This was the first one, and then was the second one. The rest of the people left in the carloads. They took us to Russia. Whatever's left, the people in the ghetto, they took us to Russia. And then we went to a place they call it Biala Belota. And there was underground the barracks. That's what I said a while ago. That was the second. That's where my family was. He asked me where my family was going. And little by time we have left. When we came back to Minsk, it was maybe 1,500 people of us left, and they took us to Germany. And then in Germany, when I lost my brother, and all the people, everybody from my hometown, my cousins and everything. I don't know how, I can never understand why, but it didn't take me. But I was the only one, of the older people. I wasn't in all over Germany and after the war, in Israel, nobody, but I was the only one in the area left, in my town, in my area, people I knew. And that was the end of it.
How did you cope with all of this? This had to be a very trying emotional time, and I know you're having a hard time reliving it right now, but how were you able to get through those years you were in that type of persecution?
You were stoned. You couldn't think, you couldn't go nowhere, you couldn't talk to nobody, you didn't know who you were talking to, and us were tearing you in. And I don't know how it was. I really don't know. I guess a person would have to be crazy.
Now, your brother Harry was here in Beckley, West Virginia when you came. You mentioned you have a sister that went to Israel.
A sister-in-law. I don't have no sisters.
Okay. How many of your was it just you and your brother Harry of your family that escaped?
Yes. No, I had a brother in Israel. He was in Paris. My father sent him to study engineering, and he met a girl when he was in France, and he married and he went to Israel. And they knew about it on home to my father and said, Europe is on fire, run, go, leave everything, go. But my father couldn't do it, and maybe he didn't, I don't know. Why he didn't do it? We were just children. We didn't know. But he just didn't move till the last minute.
So your brother had escaped prior to all of them?
Yeah, both brothers.
Oh, both brothers did?
Harry did it. Harry came here in 1920, in the 20s.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
So you were the only one that, of your family that went through the Holocaust that survived?
Yes, sir. Actually, one of us left is one cousin I have in Israel, but he was not in the camps. He was hiding. There was an aunt in a town not far from us. She had a lot of money. She was in friends, and they were hiding. All the time during the war, they were hiding.
Good. This last Sunday, we dedicated a memorial to your family, the Lewin Bell Tower. What kind of feeling do you have about this? Is this sort of closure on the tragedy that your family has been through?
I was always close to my family. And I guess I thought more about him than anybody. Not anybody did more than maybe than Harry did. Because for many, I don't know why. I'm sure my parents were good to him. But for some reason, he was not as close to them as I was. Maybe because I was the youngest for a long time. I was about 11 years between me and my younger brother. Or maybe because I was close to them, closer to them. And I took a lot of maybe more part in the family's action. And whatever my father did, I always helped. And whatever we were a team. So why, I don't know, really don't know what to answer the question.
How do you look at this memorial as being an educational tool for generations to come?
It should be, because it is going on. I mean, we don't know what we have in this country. We have groups that are against the government. They can blow up buildings. They kill 140, 50 people, blow up a building, and they're talking about blowing up the building in Parkersburg, and they got the militia here and all kind of stuff. You don't know who can come up like Hitler. You know how Hitler came up to the power? Because he took out everything from the people who had something, you know, and gave it to bombs and things like this, and he made a country out of bombs. I mean, normal people wouldn't do what they did. Just have a machine gun and kill honest children. So, never know. It would be very educational for children and people. Think about it. Never can come here. Can come any place. And somebody was telling me this morning in Brazil they had again they messed up some Jewish cemeteries, and there wasn't a television this morning. The girl works for me telling me she's seen it this morning on television, and so who knows.